Josh, are you ready to come up here and talk to us? Josh Tolley? Josh, oh, here he is. There we go. Hey.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
How you doing? I don't have an intro for you. I have to get one.
Well, that's all right.
Did you?
That's all right.
What'd you think about that?
About Austin?
Yeah.
Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's fine. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we still love people like Penn Jillette, right?
Yeah, Penn's great. Yeah. I love Penn. I don't agree with him all the time, but he's a great guy.
Well, you know, you're never going to agree with anybody all the time. The only person you're going to agree with all the time is yourself, and even that's kind of hit or miss. So you just kind of have to realize that. What you really have to worry about is how you approach other people. And your method towards advancing whatever you believe in has to be done in a way, if your objective is to convert people to your line of thought, it has to be done in a way that plants roots as opposed to offends. So I don't know what he did. I don't even know who he is, but it sounded like a bunch of people got upset with what he said, and perhaps it was how he said it as opposed to what he said. So who knows? I don't know. However, I did bring...
Oh! Nice!
And mine is actually real, official, and I guess genetics blessed me because it's a lot bigger. But anyway, bringing the sword of truth.
I love it. That's great. That is awesome. Josh, my goodness, there's so much stuff going on. Thanks for being here.
Oh, crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy what's going on.
Really exciting stuff. I want you to be the one to tell us exactly what is going on, and just lay it on out there on the table.
Oh. Well, we are going to get into this. We launched our first campaign for documentary film. The film is called Foreign and Domestic: Exposing America's True Enemies. And what really got me thinking about it was, talking to people about who they're going to vote for, and we always see everybody go for the person who supports the Constitution. The Democrats say they love the Constitution. The Republicans say they love the Constitution. Everybody says they love the Constitution. So I started looking at people and say, okay, well, if y'all love the Constitution, either y'all are idiots or the Constitution's wrong, so we have to figure out what's going on here. And I started asking people who swore an oath to defend the Constitution. How do you do that? And what was really surprising to me is how many blank stares I got. Because, you just kind of raise your right hand and say, hey, I vow to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And it's really easy to understand who a foreign enemy is. That's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, if the Navy brings 1,000 ships off your east coast, yeah, you might be facing a foreign enemy. However, the real problem is how do we recognize a domestic enemy? What does a domestic attack look like? Because in reality, they're not defending the piece of paper. The actual piece of paper is in a vault, 20 floors below the National Library or something. Who knows what it is? You're not defending the presents. And when you look at the Bill of Rights and the 10 Amendments, we've lost 9 of them already. So in the film, I'm arguing that, you know what, we're under attack right now. We're just so busy arguing about stupid political stuff like, well, what's a better tax rate, 27 cents or 23%? Meanwhile, our First Amendment right is getting taken away. And in the promo video, I show a Chicago police officer actually saying, hey, I'm going to suspend your First Amendment right. So we're being divided over these petty issues while the very foundation of this nation is just corroding. So we're launching that documentary. We want to start filming in late July, early August, and you can be part of it. If you're watching this, be part of this. Go to foreignanddomestic.eventbrite.com. Become a contributor. Everybody who contributes $20 or more gets a gift. We're not a bunch of hippie, kumbaya, beat on the drum sort of. We want to reward you too. And since the Constitution is of the people, by the people, and for the people, we thought the movie might as well be as well. So go to that website. Also, a really, really interesting side note to this, if we hit our funding goal, I'm going to launch a television network. And as good as things like this are, I mean, I love these. This is why I'm here. But as good as these are, we do need a news outlet that the American people can go to. You know, not the left, MSNBC, not the right Fox. Let's just get back to the news. Let's talk about what's really affecting the American people, regardless of their political background. So we're going to launch a television network called LibertyTV. So definitely donate big, and we'll get all kicked off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All that stuff's really exciting. Now, at 9 o'clock, Rand Paul decided he was going to get on social to make an announcement, and I think I have the video. We're going to play it right now real quick, Josh, because I think we need to talk about this. Hold on a second. Everyone in the chat's going nuts about it. It's going to make me nuts in about a second, too, once I see the video. I hope I can find it. It might be too new for me to play it. I don't know if you're up on the news by any chance, Josh?
Hold on a second. I'll find something for you.
Oh, here we go.
Fear not. I'm on it.
Another subject for a second. The Vice President Joe Biden had said that just because you work at Bain Capital, it no more qualifies you to be president as versus being a plumber. What do you make of that quote?
Well, I think it's a not very intelligent quote. What I would say is I do want someone who's been good at managing businesses that have been in failure and trying to turn them around. Right now, I'd consider our government to be a failed business, and so I think Governor Romney would be precisely the person I would want to turn around a failing business like our government, which wastes, you know.
I don't think that's it. I'm trying to find it. Apparently, he endorsed Mitt Romney tonight.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Assuming he did, I've already seen the video you played, and a lot of people kind of said that was him endorsing Mitt Romney. But let's assume he did. What does that mean for us? It doesn't mean a thing for us.
Exactly.
And we have to stop putting all this faith into one or two figures. Look, we all admit that we have record low approval ratings of every politician. So why is it that we're so surprised when a politician does something that we don't support? I mean, come on, get real. And you know for a fact at a national level there's a lot of meandering around to get where you want to get. And, of course, people said, well, maybe Ron shouldn't run or Ron shouldn't continue. That way Rand could get on the ticket and maybe Rand someday could be the president. You know what? To me, that's just compromising. And I'm sick and tired of compromising. I'm sick and tired of every time these politicians don't know what to do, they take a freedom from you. That's not how this thing's supposed to work. They're supposed to be the ones who compromise on our behalf. And if it's Ron, if it's Rand, I don't care who the hell it is. If somebody's going to come and say, look, I'm not going to stand up for what I stood up for 24 hours ago just so I can get politically ahead, then it's not somebody you should go for anyway. Now, I don't know what Rand said because obviously we don't have the video, so in all fairness, I'm going to wait before I beat him too hard. But we have to stop. Oh, go ahead.
Stick the link. Someone might be able to stick the link down here for me and tiny it or something for me so I can play it. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just this idea of, you know, well, okay, Rand is going to be the savior or Ron is going to be the savior. The great thing about Ron understands that he's not the savior. There is no person on this planet that is benevolent enough to run a government with your best interests at heart. We have to get to this understanding that government is a business. And in their business, they have competition. Competition is freedom. If everything worked smoothly, we wouldn't need them there. So they need to continue problems. It's just math. It's logical. So we just need to get back to what really made this country great, and that's you living out your freedom. That's you electing people on the county level, the state level, people where you can actually see at the grocery store and say, hey, I've seen how you voted. And when you can actually hold people accountable, when they know they have to face you again, they're more likely going to stand up to you. The people in Washington, D.C. have created such an alcove for themselves in between, the Beltway there, that they don't have to see you. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to address you. And now, because we've been lax with our activity, they've made the First Amendment illegal, saying that anywhere the Secret Service is, you can't be there to protest. So they've created a cocoon for themselves, and then yet we sit there like livestock saying, oh, please, 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 I thought you were the one. Shut up. You are the one. You, the person watching me right now. You live out freedom. You live out faith. You live out whatever you believe in. Get your vertical alignment set up, and don't let them dictate it to you. They're controlling your conversation. It's got to stop.
100% agreed, 100%, and that's why Gigi's down there going nuts about Liberty candidates, because it's so important, and she's saying, we are Ron Paul, and we are Ron Paul. Now, being that whole thing, election to focus on, we do have a convention to focus on, at least in the very short term, right? So my thinking is, we put out this email last night, Ron Paul, about, we won't have enough delegates to get down to Tampa. We're not going to be able to win anything, but we're going to be down there. We have stealth Romney delegates. Now all of a sudden Rand Paul comes out tonight and supposedly endorses Romney. Does that make any iota of a difference to really any of you guys? Honestly, I don't give a crap what he endorses. So then just don't let him bother you. Continue.
No, exactly. It shouldn't make a difference.
I don't.
Amen.
Right.
Amen. And what we have to realize is Ron Paul didn't get himself here.
Who cares what Rand Paul does? I'm
having a little delay. Are you having a delay?
Yeah, about a few seconds.
Okay. What I was going to say, though, is it doesn't matter. Ron Paul didn't get himself here. He's just happening to ride a wave of us that are continuing to promote and look at and seek out ways to defend liberty and promote freedom. And that's what it is. When they continually try to shift, you know exactly what this is about. Let's say, just for example, that Rand did come out tonight and endorse Mitt Romney. Why would he do that? Well, the answer is obvious, to get people like you and me behind Mitt Romney. Let me tell you something. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because I'm bringing my sword of truth. And I'm not going to let the people be deceived. I don't care how great the guy was. There's this expression that once you die, we split your gear. It's kind of a military-ish sort of expression. And if Rand Paul is going to die, theoretically, in terms of the liberty movement, if he's vacating his position, then we just have to pick up where he left off. It's not about him. It's about you.
It's about each and every one of us. And, people are getting so upset, like, oh, Ron Paul's selling out. No, Ron Paul's not really doing anything. Ron Paul is wise enough, I believe, to what the whole movement is about and the passion we have, not to let this stupid politicking get us down. We have a job to do at the local level and for this nation, and we have a job to do down at the convention. I don't care what anyone says. I'm still one of those, I guess, stupid people who holds out hope that there is going to be something crazy happening down in August. Who knows if Ron Paul gets the nomination? I don't know. But it's not going to be the same old Republican Party afterwards.
No, it's not. And we have to realize the role of the federal government has changed. Everybody loves to tout the Founding Fathers. Well, the Founding Fathers didn't see the federal government as that big of a deal. Matter of fact, the Supreme Court started in the basement. That's how little importance they gave those people. It's over the course of time, when the politicians realized that they could be professional politicians, that they started to elevate themselves. We need to knock them back down to reality. And when we get all upset because of what Rand might have done, we're just saying, oh, you are right, you are this wonderful leader. Shut up! You're the leader. The leaders in this nation really are the people who step out and do something, step out and start a business, whatever happens to be. Those are the leaders.
Everyone who's sitting in here listening right now is a leader in their own way. Every single person who spends their day researching and spreading the word and doing radio shows and getting the word out there and trying to make people realize that liberty and freedom is important and popular and needs to be what we focus on moving forward. Who gives a flying shit what Rand Paul says? I don't care. I don't care what he says. Just because Rand Paul sells out and endorses Romney doesn't mean tomorrow I'm going to wake up and say, oh, freedom is dead. No. Who cares?
Well, you didn't get your philosophy from Rand Paul, right? I mean, it wasn't Rand Paul who somehow laid hands on you and created a freedom-loving person. So who cares? It all comes back to liberty. Liberty is an individually executed thing. When it's an individually executed thing, why do you care what the groupthink is? And that kind of goes back to what the previous guy was talking about in regards to Big Pharma. I don't want to weigh in on chemtrails and all that sort of stuff. That's whatever. But when it comes to Big Pharma, it serves as a perfect example of where we've allowed ourselves to go and still kept this idea of calling ourselves liberty-minded. When we look at Big Pharma, the approval process for a drug goes through the very companies that you mentioned, companies like Merck, companies like Pfizer and Bristol Myers Squibb. They're the ones that are in charge of approving new drugs. There are great drugs out there. If we're going to do the research, go find a guy named Dr. Brzezinski. Now, this guy essentially cured cancer back in the 70s, but his drug can't get approval because it has to go through Merck first. And to have this idea that, well, doctors make money because of the free enterprise system, and no, sorry, it doesn't work that way. Leaders in the medical industry on our program, doctors, real credible doctors, who said, you know what, because of the way the medical industry works, on some patients, they actually lose money because of this whole process. The medical industry is not free enterprise. That's why we're having the problem we're having. So to say that big pharma and medicine and all that, they have it right and we should just follow along with their logic is completely illogical, completely un-libertarian, because you're not looking at how liberty is supposed to be executed. When the government is in bed with the companies, that's called fascism. That's exactly what we have. It's not a conspiracy theory. All you have to do is go to whitehouse.gov. So when you start laying down these bricks of truth, you start killing people's sacred cows. And when you kill the sacred cow, they're only left with making leather out of it and saying, well, look, it's something different. No, it's not. It's still a cow. We just chopped it up for you. So you have to go back and look at the foundation of all these things. I don't care about the conspiracy theories. But you can't alienate people because they do research, because they don't agree. And whether it's pharmaceuticals or whether it's, I don't know, Bigfoot, it doesn't really matter. As Americans, we should embrace you. When we start saying things like, well, your beliefs embarrass us, that is embarrassing. Yeah. That's embarrassing because what you're basically saying is, well, I'm like the Democrats who want to reject you. I'm like the Republicans who want to reject Ron Paul. Well, wait a second. Why should I listen to you then if you're acting like them? You're like the big bully at school that didn't want to pick the short kid because he would be embarrassing. The right thing to do is to pick the short kid, embrace him, convert his thought process to something that's right, and then take the credit for being a leader as opposed for just somebody who keeps knocking down everybody who doesn't agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. Absolutely. I tried to segue into that a little bit by bringing up Rick Perry, Texas, and Merck, but that didn't work out so well for me. Austin had his own kind of tangent he wanted to go on.
I just saw Ken Bowman say, hey, are you an advertiser for Coca-Cola's vitamin water? No, to be honest with you, it's 8:30. I just put on a T-shirt, and that's what I had. I think I got it from a charity walk or something. So, no, I'm not. I just didn't want to go shirtless and get all the women hot and bothered. So,
Josh, you did that already. So I just want to go back to again this whole Rand thing. I know Steve Parent is in the chat. We need to keep just focusing on getting delegates and doing what we've been doing this whole time and kind of disregard whatever the hell happened to the world, I think, at this point, and just pledge to keep fighting and doing it in that way so at least we make enough of an impact. And then we all have to make sure we support your documentary, which is going to give us an action plan, something we can actually do and work on and focus on and use to bring ourselves forward rather than just watching, like you said earlier today, a sad documentary on how horrible things are and not being able to do anything to fix it. So if you could talk a little bit more about that, that'd be great. I actually am getting a phone call. Yes, I'll be right back. Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so the idea behind the documentary was we wanted to go beyond just pointing out what the problem is. Everybody has a favorite documentary out there talking about, weight gain or vitamins or whatever it happens to be. And there's some great ones out there. However, we noticed that they always just stop at telling you what's bad. Well, what's the point of that? I mean, I feel better if I didn't watch it. How many documentaries have you watched where once it was over, you're like, wow, that was good, but, I don't want to wake up tomorrow because it just got you so bummed out, really. So with this documentary, we wanted to go beyond that because my background is a strategist. So we wanted to go into, okay, here's the bad situation. Now, what can we actually do about it? What's the plan to move forward? So with every DVD, you can take it out of your DVD player, put it in your computer, and there will be documents there for you, action plans, community organizing tips, and no, not like Barack Obama, but I mean like just in your neighborhood, proof of what we're talking about so people can't say, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory or whatever. So that's the benefit to that. And I think we need to do that with everything. We do such a good job as liberty-minded people getting information out. But I was on a show last week down in Tampa, and they asked me, well, Josh, how do we get people to believe in what we're doing? How do we get them to see the truth? And so many people have asked me this question, and it's really, really simple. You have to lead them to it. What we tend to do is we take these seeds of truth and we just kind of throw them at people. Well, you're supposed to plant seeds, not throw seeds. So instead of being a pusher and saying, well, this is the truth that I need to push on you, lead them to it. Start asking them questions that leads them to want to ask more questions. Because if you think about whenever you had a political conversion, it wasn't because somebody bashed your head saying you have to believe me, you have to believe me. It's because you saw a documentary, you read a book that made you question something, you went to a speech where they addressed a large crowd. So this one-on-one, I just want to bash you with the truth, doesn't work. And people's objection is, well, Josh, isn't it true that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink? No, that's not true. What you have to do is you have to make that horse thirsty, and then he'll drink anything you give him. So you have to create this environment where you don't just hit them with facts, you create questions in their mind. So that's how we become leaders instead of pushers.
I love it. I can't wait. I put it everywhere. People shared it everywhere. I think you got a bunch of donations today, honestly. I don't know if you checked, but...
I hope so. Because it is a big goal. And one of the things is I didn't want to make a low-budget documentary, and those are good. You know, what people can do with their iPhones today is just amazing. But I wanted to make a documentary that has credibility going into further election cycles. So whether it's 4 years from now, 2 years from now, 8 years from now, this is something we continually hand out and say, look, this is why you need to really wake up to the truth. And we did it without any political parties in mind, because this political division is actually opening us up to a huge problem. Your liberal neighbor might be an idiot, and your conservative neighbor might be an idiot, but they both really want the same thing. They want to be free. They want to have good food. They want to be able to raise their children. And when you start addressing these foundational issues, you actually see unity come back to the United States. So we wanted to make it non-political, really.
Yeah, and that's the best way to go, because the two-party paradigm is old and tired, especially for me at this point. I'm just sick and tired of it. Like, I see right-wing, organizations like, oh, Obama did this and blah, blah, blah. I said Obama because that's just pretty much what it is. Obama did this and, how dare the liberals and how dare the... I'm like, oh, God, don't you guys realize it's not even that anymore? It's just the same damn thing over and over. It's so tired and so old. And we need us to be fresh and awake and new and energized, and we need people like you to help lead the charge and do what you're doing. And if you guys have 20,000 fiat dollars, he will come to the house and he will actually watch the movie with you. Just think about that for a second.
Yeah, $20,000, and I will fly to you. We will fill your house with as many friends and family as you can pack it with, and we'll watch the movie together. So. In addition to that, you get the accumulative gifts as well. So it's just a crazy amount of stuff you give for $20,000. And in reality, whether it's $20,000 or $20, this is something you can really invest in. And people ask me all the time, well, Josh, isn't this a bad time to do it because of, money bombs and political seasons? And the answer is no. Now is the perfect time to do it. Because as we just pointed out in this conversation, you're going to continue to be disappointed in politicians. There should be two things you're giving money to, Gigi Bowman and this movie, because those are the only two things that really address the problem. Continually giving money to the campaigns isn't nearly as effective as shoring up that foundation which made America America in the first place. So if you have the extra money, we'll take it.
Fall Festival too. I mean, everybody needs money, but $5 here, even $5 from $5 from 20 people is enough to make a difference for some of these causes, for real. And it's important. This is really important stuff that we're doing here, especially this TV network. If this thing takes off, Josh, and I don't doubt it'll be successful, because I'm one of those people that just believes that everything will work out if you have the right people behind it, and everyone thinks that it'll definitely be successful. It will. If this works out and you guys are on mainstream television, and the alternative is gone from media at that point. There is no more alternative media. It's just us media. You know what I mean?
Well, I just posted a link to the website too, and this idea of taking the alternative mainstream is kind of where my show is getting so much success. And I don't mean to say this to toot my own horn, but you have had people who have been spouting the truth for a long time, but they do it with such a brash, in-your-face attitude. Unless you agree with them, you're not going to want to listen to the show. And what we've done is we've kind of taken this message, brought in logic and reason, and when you leave at the end of the day, you're left with no other conclusion than to agree with me. So
I got to be honest, I do listen to your show every day. I'm a little bit of a Josh Tolley groupie because I'm at work and I'm sitting at my desk and I put you on Listen Live and I'm just like, wow. You're not only are you funny, but you're smart and you know the deal. You just the message that you spread to so many people, even all over the world, you're syndicated worldwide. It's amazing what you're doing, and geez, thank you. You're local, you're not local, you're mainstream, you're everything, and I really appreciate it. It's awesome. Not to kiss your butt too much, but
Well, that's very humbling because in all reality, just so people who don't know who I am, and there's a lot of them, but for people who don't know who I am, it was never my intention to get into broadcasting. My intention was to stay in business. But this kind of came about because there was nobody else willing or fit to fill this spot where you take logic and reason, mix it with a little bit of charisma, and put it out with the truth. So I think that's been kind of our success. And the most uncomfortable thing to talk about is myself. So let's move on.
You also have really funny voices that I love.
Yeah.
I love those. Well, hey, listen, guys. Great. I love it. I laugh out loud. And then every once in a blue, I just get the inclination, and I pick up the phone, and they're like, oh, Tracy from New York. And then I'm like, hey. And Josh's like, oh, I know who you are.
Yeah, you were actually on the show today. That was fun. We had a great kind of a Liberty organizer on in the first hour, and then you were on in the second hour. That was good. That was fun.
It was really good. You do so much for this. If you want to stick around for a few minutes, we have Matt Larson coming on, and then I have two surprise guests. It's a long show tonight, but I'm having a ball. And I'll be honest, if it was about 2 years ago, I'd be upset about Rand Paul endorsing Mitt Romney, but to me, that's just like who cares? I just don't care, guys. Really don't. Not upsetting to me at all. It's Rand Paul.
Yeah, if we have the opportunity, I have to go soon, but I see Ken is saying that his beard is sexier. That's fine. I'm good with that. But if anybody has any questions, I have time for a couple of questions if there are. If there's not, then I'll just jet and get out of the way.
Let's do it. Questions for Josh. Brian has one.
Shirtless Thursdays. Are you talking to me or are you talking to her?
Brian is the guy who's running Paul Festival. He wants to know, are you going to call him back?
Okay, here's the situation. I get about 500 emails a day, and I get about 70 to 80 phone calls a day. So calling people back is crazy hard. I think I emailed you back, though, Brian. So check your email or something. Plus, somebody else who knows the both of us was supposed to tell you to call in. So I'm not sure if that happened.
I did.
Communication's just getting nuts. Oh, well then, hey, Brian, are you going to call in? I'm just giving you a hard time. What else?
He has other things he would like to speak with you about, though. So,
okay.
Else asks really quickly, why is Rand Paul endorsing Romney not important to the movement? And I think we went through this, but quickly, Josh, can you just answer that?
Because the movement isn't them. It's not Romney, it's not Ron Paul, and it's not Rand Paul. Matter of fact, for those of you who are in this movement, anybody who's watching this as a leader, like Tracy said, you need to go out there and educate people to say, you know what, this doesn't stop a thing. This doesn't stop us from advancing. This doesn't stop the message. We just need to develop new, better leaders. And if Rand Paul thinks that, well, better yet, if the GOP thinks that by bringing in Rand Paul, that the rest of us are going to fall in line, that's just a mistake. I mean, it's not going to happen. So that's why it's not going to impact it, at least the way they want it to. Now, is it going to have an impact? Yeah, I'm sure. And if we stick together, if we stay on point, then the impact is going to be, don't sell us out. If you sell us out, we're not going to follow you.
Exactly.
That's the impact.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. I said I was jumping up and down before. Now you can actually see the Italian in me coming out. Look at that. It's great. Awesome.
I like Josh better than Alex Jones. Oh, thanks for that. I like that one.
You've got better ratings. No?
What?
You got better ratings, right?
Well, no, to be honest, he's on a lot more stations than we are, but he's been doing this for 19 years. We haven't even been on the air for a year. And to kind of give you a picture of how big this is, again, not to toot my own horn, but we started a show. I've never done radio before in my life. We started our show from 9 to 11 a.m. on the largest independent syndicator in the world, and we did it right out of the gate. We're the lead-in show for Alex Jones. So to start a show and have it be that position and then to see the growth is just phenomenal. I hope that we take over a spot. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've listened to a couple of his shows and watched a couple of movies. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know.
I don't either, to be honest with you. I don't really listen to him myself. I listen to a few select things, but not too often. Josh, any more questions for Josh before we get to Matt Larson? Where do we see more of you, Josh?
What was that?
Where do we see more of you?
Well, you can get the download MP3s. You can get an iPhone app, an Android app. We're on Stitcher. We're on TuneIn. You can go to GCN Live, download every show that we've done since the creation of the show. We have a huge and growing YouTube channel. Most importantly, though, seriously, most importantly, call your local station. This is vitally important. In order for our voice to take over the mainstream media, we need to get on more real mainstream stations. And we're on a bunch of them. But it's just not the same to download the show. Call these people and say, hey, I demand you get the Josh Tolley Show. He's on the GCN radio network. And if enough people call, that's their business. They'll pick up the show. So that's the best thing to do.
That's awesome. Great stuff. There was one more thing. Oh, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to be in the New York area in July?
For your birthday party on the 21st? I have no clue. If I'm in the area, I am definitely going to make a point to make it to your birthday party. Yeah. So, for those of you in New York, actually, that's a great segue, Tracy. For those of you in New York, contact WFAS. They're a station that has us listed as a show that they're going to carry. However, they're kind of being slow about it because business people are just slow. Call and say, hey, speed this up a little bit. We see you're listed on GCN as a carrier of the Josh Tolley Show. However, he hasn't started yet. Call them up. Get me on in July or before July, and I'll come to your birthday party.
Oh, boy, look at that. There's a call to action, people. It's my birthday. And
Steve, yes, I did get the email that the MP3, I just sent you a message. Email me back with a little thing that says I have permission to put the music, and we'll put your music in the bumper rotation. It rocked, by the way.
Awesome. That's great. That song is amazing. Great song.
Yeah, it is.
Josh, you were here for breaking news. This was absolutely a wonderful half hour with you. Thank you so much for taking the time again.
Glad to be here. I hope you have a great, wonderful rest of the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks so much, Josh.
Yep.